halfway around the world, we are engaged in a great struggle in the skies and on the seas and sands. We know why we're there. We are Americans, part of something larger than ourselves. For 2 centuries, we've done the hard work of freedom, and tonight we lead the world in facing down a threat to decency and humanity. What is at stake is more than one small country. It is a big idea, a new world order, where diverse nations are drawn together in common cause to achieve the universal aspirations of mankind: peace and security, freedom, and the rule of law. Such is a world worthy of our struggle and worthy of our children's future.
At 2 a.m. Gulf time, Iraq invaded Kuwait. In a few hours, Iraqi troops took over Kuwait City. The invasion was a total surprise for the civilian population and the small Kuwaiti army. A homemade video shot from the American embassy shows the Kuwaiti Corps Guard fighting back. When the Iraqi helicopter force arrived in the battle scene, the end was in sight. Iraqi President Saddam Hussein arrives in Kuwait City and personally takes charge of the invading army. On August 6th, UN Security Council votes 13-0 to ban trade with Iraq except for medicine and food for humanitarian relief. UN Resolution 661 is in place, and the trade embargo begins immediately. Iraq's main export, oil sales, is quickly cut off. Tanker traffic is down to a trickle. Iraq orders 4,000 Britons and 2,500 Americans rounded up and held as human shields against Allied attacks. Saddam puts a 4-year-old British boy through the embarrassment of a trumped-up TV interview.
Are you getting your milk, Stuart? And with cornflakes too?
أيضا cornflakes طبعا الأطفال العراق مو كلهم.
I don't think all Iraqi kids can get cornflakes now.
President Bush and Soviet President Mikhail Gorbachev meet and agree on a plan of action against Iraq. Army reservists and National Guardsmen are activated by executive order for the first time since 1968. Tearful send-offs and a prepared military are part of America's heritage. Frankfurt Main in Germany is the processing point for most of the American troops headed for Saudi Arabia. The soldiers are checked in and housed in the world's largest hotel. Because of the vast number of men and women involved, temporary quarters are erected on every available space on the base. Meals are prepared with an eye on preparing the troops for desert conditions. The air crews are cleared through the system with the most expedient methods available. Temporary food stations are set up outdoors to keep up with the incoming personnel. The ground crews work round the clock preparing for imminent departure. Precision teamwork is imperative to load the mighty transport planes to their maximum efficiency. The soldiers start the boarding process. When the mighty C-5 and C-130 transport crafts are fully loaded, they lumber down the runway on their way to headquarters, Saudi Arabia. Meanwhile, the ships of the Navy, loaded with men and sophisticated equipment, travel through the Mediterranean Sea. Pass through the Suez Canal, nicknamed the Ditch. And through the Red Sea on their way to Saudi Arabia. On board is the latest in American aircraft and firepower, including the F-16 Falcon, the F-14 Tomcat, the F-11, and just about everything in America's state-of-the-art war chest. The E-3 AWAC command ship is aboard with its up-to-date radar systems on the ready. The unloading process begins. The armored personnel carriers come ashore. The M1A1 Abrams tank makes its presence known. The stockpiling of supplies begins on a scale never before seen throughout history. The B-52 Stratofortress arrives. These 30-year-old bombers, nicknamed Buff for big, ugly, fat fellows, are ready to go into action. The unloading process is non-stop. Troops are arriving by the hour, and President Bush unveils an action plan under which affluent European, Asian, and Gulf countries would share the cost of Allied military intervention.
Put that in my car. Is that money? Oh, it's ammo.
With our desert training underway, Saddam Hussein, head of an almost friendless nation, was propelling his country into a full-scale war against the largest, most technically advanced military machine on Earth.
Go. We got it. Doing good. All right, we're going to get a little wind here. Get a little wind. Another day in the desert, Saudi Arabian desert tanker style.
The tank commander, Second Lieutenant Chris Hampton, said to keep a tank running in the desert takes teamwork.
The crew is like a basketball team, except we don't have 5 guys. We've got 4 guys in a tank.
The M1 Abrams has never faced combat, but the crew has lots of confidence.
Straight ahead. We're good.
We're all keeping the ball in the court, keeping our minds on what we need to do, and getting the job done. It's a 5-man team.
The ground forces practice against any possible obstacle they may encounter.
Hey, who's... Come in there, Garcia, raw!
Target, go! Take this cord, it's off! Go! Take this... Real one. Yeah, baby, get in! Go!
When the enemy approaches into our sector, I can coordinate through my gunner, tell him either the left or the right of TRP, whatever it happens to be, and he can accurately pick up the targets, acquire, and engage, going through the fire commands. I can call artillery fire on those positions and lay out an even more deadly base of fire on any approaching enemy.
Deadline Resolution 678 passes on a vote of 12-2. In addition, Resolution 674 calls for the release of all hostages. Our training marches on. These AH-64 Apache helicopters will play an important role in the upcoming combat. Life goes on for the nomads of the desert. And our people's personal needs are met on a daily basis. Every day, the men and supplies keep stacking up. The medical corps gets ready. The GI's hobbies continue. Four-star General Colin Powell, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, visits our combat troops and lets them know that this Vietnam vet is with them 100%. The commander-in-chief of Operation Desert Shield is General H. Norman Schwarzkopf, affectionately nicknamed by his men as Stormin' Norman. With the heavily guarded West Point general is a sergeant carrying equipment for instant satellite communication with Washington.
We've got a big job to do, and every night when I go to bed at night, I think what I'm going to do the next morning when I get up, and every morning when I get up, I think what I'm going to do every hour after that. You know, this is a big enterprise over here and a lot of responsibility, and I take it very, very seriously, and frankly, half the night I think about it too.
Secretary of Defense Richard Cheney and General Colin Powell meet with General Schwarzkopf on a fact-finding mission for President Bush.
Don't miscalculate the resolve of the American people.
If the American administration decides to attack Iraq militarily, Iraq will defend itself in a very bold manner.
UN Secretary General Javier Perez de Cuellar meets with Hussein but fails to persuade him to give up Kuwait. At 3 a.m. Gulf time, Operation Desert Storm begins, with massive air and missile attacks on enemy targets. The anti-aircraft barrage over Baghdad lights up the sky. The B-52s take off. The F-14 Tomcat fighter with its AIM-9 Sidewinder missile joins in. The F-117A stealth fighter moves out. The British fighter bombers Tornado and Harrier join in. The F-15A, C, and D Eagles leave the carriers. The airborne warning and control systems, the AWACS, lift off. U-2 high-level observation craft chips in. As seen through gun camera video, early targets are Scud missile launch areas.
Roger. How much you turn it out? Okay. It's gone. The lights are out. Okay, cyclone steering. Take steering. Okay, out to 230. Come start. Check speed. Speed is 470. They're shooting guns, but more we blew the living snot out of them, though.
Some missiles had built-in impact cameras. missile automatically corrects itself. We bomb strategic supply routes and bridges. Airfields. Chemical factories. The returning pilots are quickly debriefed and intelligence reports are updated.
It looks a lot like lights, flickering lights, like Christmas lights or something like that when the AAA is coming up. And then shortly after that, it looks like some big bomb fireworks or something like that going off. It was an awesome display, it really was.
One of Hussein's early threats comes true. He orders his troops to release massive amounts of oil, producing the largest oil slick known to man. It has destroyed wildlife and fishing for decades to come. From the seagoing ships come the Tomahawk cruise missiles, with 1,000-pound warheads which were usually fired in 2s or 3s to ensure destruction of targets. At a cost of $250,000 each and a speed of over 500 miles an hour, they sped over Baghdad to their predetermined targets. Day and night, the Tomahawks just keep coming. Iraq keeps up its attack of Russian-built Scud missiles on Saudi Arabia and Israel. We successfully counter with the anti-missile, Patriot, although a few warheads and debris reach civilian areas. The Scud was not an important military weapon. Its main purpose was to try and drag Israel into the war. On some nights, the streets of Tel Aviv were alive with rescue workers, helping people left homeless by a Scud attack that got through the Patriot curtain. Gas masks and sealed rooms became a way of life in Israeli and Saudi Arabian major cities. On this sad day in Israel, 2 people are killed by the unpredictable Scud. The Patriot crews keep up their great effort.
It's basically the computer will determine who's got the best capability of intercepting the missile, and the computer will go ahead and designate the unit to engage. I think Patriot is probably is definitely the king of air defense artillery right now, not only for the United States, but probably in all the free world.
Have you ever missed?
No, I have not.
After being on the receiving end of 15,000 air sorties, Hussein said he has taken the best the Allies had.
Okay, with regard to Saddam Hussein saying that he has met the best that the coalition has to offer, I would only say the best is yet to come.
General Schwarzkopf took a lot of pride in the precision of his bombing missions, and at the same time avoiding civilian buildings.
I'm now going to show you a picture of the luckiest man in Iraq on this particular day. Keep your eye on the crosshairs, right there. Look at here. Right through the crosshairs. And now in his rearview mirror.
The general explains the danger.
The appropriate targets. We're being very, very careful in our direction of attacks to avoid damage of any kind to civilian installations. It's going to happen. It is absolutely going to happen. There's no question about it. But we're doing everything we can to prevent it, and that's not carpet bombing by any definition.
Meanwhile, back at the airfields, the work continues. The crews load the bombs and the missiles, the Sidewinders, the Mavericks, the Sparrows, the Hellfires, the Great Harpoons, and others, all delivered with careful planning. The Brits unveil their Laser Eyes anti-tank missile. Off we go again. General Powell says U.S. strategy against Iraq is simple. First we're going to cut it off, and then we're going to kill it. The British Buccaneer fighter bomber was always on call and had a special mission this day. It was a low-level airfield attack with high-tech bombs that blew up the runways.
Okay, coming through. There we go, it's going. Big lock, keep running. There's the canisters.
Bulldog, Crockett 3-2.
Pocket 3-2, go ahead.
Roger, Bulldog 2, check 40 past the air, request indicate Alpha 2.
Our planes went deep into Iraq.
Later, but he might have to run us up north for mine fuel, or else I'll be just about route bingo by the time we get up to the IP.
Yeah, we'll talk about it once we get on the tanker.
Roger.
Mid-air refueling is dangerous, but necessary for long missions.
Zip, do you have any words on a pistol?
Duck. And we're latched.
Copy 01.43, say your bearing and range from CP.
And lastly, be advised that Guppy 03, the number 2 tanker, has a setter flight with him at this time.
Can we tap down just a little bit
Gas me up. I've got an appointment in northern Iraq.
Okay, Hutch, smile for the camera. Whoa, jam it.
Out of the blue comes the F-15's first major dogfight, shooting down 3 Iraqi MiG-23s. Then comes more air bases and communications targets. This is a job for the radar-evading stealth fighter. Its pilot-controlled computer locks on target with a laser beam. The Baghdad fireworks makes the sorties still very dangerous. The incoming pilots tell of the damage they observed. The bridges, the fuel trucks, the industry, power stations, most of what the outside world saw on Iraqi TV was the propaganda Hussein wanted us to see. But in truth, the Allied precision bombing was awesome. Unlike his troops, Hussein himself was well guarded in his deep bunker.
It was about 40 minutes ago, sir, when they were requesting rules of engagement because they had a possible target.
The firing was directed on the streets of the border town of Khafji. A U.S. Marine trapped on a rooftop in town acted as a spotter and directed the artillery attack. The actual taking of the town will be led by Saudi ground troops. Marines tell it like it is.
Destroy them. Before they destroy us?
Hey, look here, we got two unidentified vehicles up there in the front, so keep an eye on what's going on. Can you do this later, please?
The Super Cobra helicopters were called in to help take the town. This tower was used as an observation point by Iraqi artillery gunners. It was quickly neutralized. F-16s, Harriers, and A-10 Thunderbolts were used to cut off supplies to the town. Over 60 Iraqi motorized vehicles were destroyed in this battle. After all was said and done, the foot soldiers still had to take the town. Finally, the town was clear, with the Saudi troops given proper credit. In the town, the wreckage of the battle. This is Corporal Chuck Ingrams, the trap Marine who helped take the town.
I feel proud that I did my job, but I was scared to death. Honest truth, scared to death.
And now that we had the information where the Iraqi troops were dug in, we started the buildup at the Saudi-Kuwaiti border. Everything we had was brought up to the front lines. The countdown to the ground war had begun. On land, on sea, in the air, we were ready. The big 16-inch guns from the USS Missouri and Wisconsin opened fire with shells that weigh as much as a Volkswagen. Multi-launch rocket systems lead the way. The American Abrams and 601 tanks, along with the British Chieftain and Challenger tanks, roll on while our 155mm artillery clears the way. The A-10 Warthog proves to be the tank killer it was billed as. 2 Warthogs knock out 23 Iraqi tanks in one day. Nighttime saw the advancing Allied armies pick up speed. The U.S. advanced technology for nighttime combat worked better than expected. Daylight saw the infantryman still proving his worth. Beaten Iraqi soldiers surrendered to the advancing U.S. and Saudi forces by holding up white flags, joining the flow of tens of thousands of their countrymen.
The Air Force can't do it all by themselves. They've been doing a good job, but the ground forces, they got to go in. Because I feel that the only person to get another person out of the foxhole is the infantryman.
You know, I really don't care about oil. I don't care about material things. You know, I'm here so my little brothers won't be in 10 years.
Natural weather storms uncover the Iraqi minefields, making it easier to clear. With the mines out of the way, the armies move forward past the battle-scarred wrecks of Soviet and Chinese-made Iraqi tanks. The very carriers that brought the Allied tanks to the front lines were now taking the Iraqi POWs back to safe prisoner camps behind the lines.
It's the biggest 4th of July show you've ever seen.
This burning hulk of a building shows Iraq's most destructive strike of the war, destroying a military barracks on an Allied base in Saudi Arabia. Finally, the retaking of Kuwait City, the main objective of Operation Desert Storm. Just in case of an Iraqi counterattack, our anti-aircraft missiles were brought up to the front. The Kuwaiti flag, hidden since August 2nd, was flying again.
it had been our intention to destroy the country, if it had been our intention to overrun the country, we could have done it unopposed.
Tonight, the Kuwaiti flag once again flies above the capital of a free and sovereign nation, and the American flag flies above our embassy. 7 months ago, America and the world drew a line in the sand. We declared that the aggression against Kuwait would not stand. And tonight, America and the world have kept their word. This is not a time of euphoria, certainly not a time to gloat, but it is a time of pride. Pride in our troops, pride in the friends who stood with us in the crisis, pride in our nation, and the people whose strength and resolve made victory quick, decisive, and just. And soon, we will open wide our arms to welcome back home to America our magnificent fighting forces.
Sir. Well, I'll let you know when the meeting's over. Right. I'm feeling pretty good.
General Schwarzkopf and staff arrive in southern Iraq to discuss the peace terms.
Okay, now I don't want them embarrassed in any way, right? No, sir.
Inside a tent pitched on the former battlefield, the general and his staff brought to a close Operation Desert Storm. And today, with satisfaction, we can say, aggression is defeated. The war is over.